This is so cute. Hello everybody, this is a Z Flip 3 smartphone game controller 4-in-1 set. Yeah, they couldn't have picked a better name, could they? But apparently, they do have a reason for this name, and it's because this controller works best for Samsung Z Flip phones. Though note that you can still use the controller on generally any smartphone. The Z Flip 3 I'm just gonna call this the Retroid controller. The Retroid is a 3D printed product on Etsy by Retroid at $98 US. I'm not gonna lie, that's a very steep price. The creator sent it to me a week ago, and man, he sent me the cutest letter ever. Tokaku, thank you for your interest in the product I made. So nice. Thank you for the algorithm that guided me to your channel. I'm a manufacturer who works alone in Korea under the name of Retroid. I'm an old school gamer, and I like rhythm games. I'm actually not good at rhythm games. Well, that's relatable. Rhythm games are very difficult these days.
That's a nice message.
Anyway, back to the product. Honestly, for a homemade Etsy product, this is really professional looking packaging. You could put this in an actual store and I wouldn't have been able to tell at all. Not to mention, the main gamepad faceplate and the controller bracket honestly doesn't look 3D printed. Though for the rhythm game ones, you can see the 3D printing lines. Other things you'll find in the box are instructions on how to set the controller up and advice on settings. I'll touch on this later. The controllers work on emulators for the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, SNES, and even PSP. But anyway, for my tests, I mostly only played games on Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance. How the controller works is like this. You have a bracket to attach to your phone, and then you slot in whatever faceplate you like to use. To remove the faceplate, you can just peel it off with your fingernails. At the back of each faceplate, you can see capacitive metal plates underneath each button. This is how your phone screen will recognize each button press. This means that you have to set up the touchscreen layout on the emulator you're using to match specifically to each faceplate and make sure that the on-screen buttons line up to the capacitive contacts on those faceplates. The way Retroid does this is pretty smart. Since you can remove the faceplate from the bracket, you can see where the playable touch area of the controller is. Though, for knowing where each button should go, it's a huge trial and error thing and it can get pretty frustrating. On the bright side, you can save layouts on emulators like My Boy and Old Boy, if you paid for it. The buttons feel surprisingly good and almost springy in a way, but they're not as tough as real Game Boy buttons or as snappy as gamepad buttons. But I mean, just listen to these. They're kind of responsive for what they are. You can tap them lightly and inputs are sent through. Though I noticed that this is a bit of an RNG thing. Quick button presses don't register perfectly, and you can see that happening here. I'm guessing that the capacitive contact doesn't lift up quickly enough to register another input. And like I've said, this is a very RNG thing. Sometimes it works out and well, sometimes it just doesn't. I tried navigating this by pressing harder on each button, but well, still same thing. But in any case, you can actually still use the navigation buttons on your phone even with the faceplate on. And that's because of these black buttons down here. They're not actually buttons that you can press down or anything, but you can touch them and it still sends a capacitive touch to your phone. It makes navigating things a lot easier. These same black capacitive rubber is also used on the top L and R buttons of the controller. So yes, there's L and R buttons for GBA and SNES games, and I guess PSP too if you ever use this for a PSP emulator. Anyway, Retroid requested me to play Game Boy games on an actual Game Boy for a comparison when I review this. Though to be honest, they didn't need to ask for that, I was going to do it anyway. Sadly, I only have the actual Beatmania Game Boy cartridge, so I can only showcase that one. So we'll just go over the Beatmania faceplate first then. It's pretty cute, and the turntable on it actually turns. Not to mention, just listen to it. Oh my god, is that a dog? Unfortunately, you don't trigger this button by turning around. It's purely an aesthetic thing. It works the same as the rest of the buttons. You have to press it down to send input. Well, a little unfortunate. So yeah, now let's go over the performance. I'll be playing on expert mode on Beatmania GB because that's the mode I always play. The way the mode works is simple. It uses the original Beatmania heart gauge, aka if you lose health, you will never get it back no matter how well you do. There are 5 songs in the course and it works similarly to a dance course. End the first song with 2% health and yeah, you start the second song with 2% health. The life gauge carries on to every single song. Of course, unless you fail out halfway and you have to use the continue button to continue the rest of the course. I normally fail at the third song, so I figured it'd be a pretty good gauge of whether the controller works as well or even better than an original Game Boy. So how well did it fare? Well, not so great to be honest. I died right at the start of the second song. I'm guessing this is because the controller already struggles to send quick inputs for the first song, and then pressing the turntable is even less reliable for the second song. chances are the turntable struggles so much because it's big, and the capacitive touchpad under it looks like this. But anyway, skipping to the song that I struggle with, the third song. The inconsistent inputs there aren't helping either. I get too many pause and fail out before even reaching the part with the chords that I wanted to test this on so badly. But yeah, that's unfortunate. Now moving on to how actual Game Boys would fare on the same game. I'm sorry that my Game Boy Color screen is quite faded. I'm guessing it started fading because it's pretty old. I tried messing around with the pentiometer and cleaning the display's ribbon cables, and it only helped a slight bit, but it's still hard to see. But anyway, on the Game Boy Color, I play pretty badly because of the fucky screen and die right at the start of the third song. On the other hand, for my Game Boy Pocket, I die right at the hard part of the third song, where I normally do. And then for the Game Boy Advance SP, I die right there too. Oh my, this isn't looking too good for the RetroidCon, huh? Surprisingly, the DanceDance Revolution con had the best performance out of all the cons. They were responsive and they did work. I didn't find any inputs dropping, but it could just be me because I'm not that good at DanceDance Revolution GB. I really wish I had an actual DDR cartridge and that cursed as hell looking add-on for the Game Boy Color because hell, I really want to know how well that will work in real life. But anyway, lastly we have the pop and faceplate. This one's actually the worst out of all three. The buttons are incredibly mushy and wobbly? I'm guessing due to the sheer size of each button and how this controller presses downwards, inputs struggle to get sent properly, if at all. I'm sorry about this, unplayable. Okay, so all of these, in the end, don't work out as well as getting a real Game Boy. But how does it compare to just using touch inputs on your phone yourself? Much better actually. The touch inputs for Beatmania and DanceDance Revolution are a nightmare. So yes, overall you will play better with a RetroidCon than without it. Except if you're playing pop and you'd straight up just play better yourself. So yeah, here's a general idea. Actual Game Boy hardware, better than a RetroidCon. RetroidCon, better than just a phone. But in the end, $98 was something you could use on your phone while on the go. That's extremely hard to recommend, especially the fact that you can't do any high-level gameplay with it. You'd have better experience using the money to buy a second-hand Game Boy or retro game device like what I've reviewed on my channel before. Or hell, go the completely free route and use an emulator on your computer. You'd have good button press inputs and freedom with a keyboard. So the conclusion, this is a niche novelty item that sadly doesn't have that much use. I'm not entirely sure how Retro can improve on this, to be honest. He'd have to do a full makeover for the buttons. And it's just a shame that such nice 3D prints don't live up to what it looks like. But yeah, that's all for my thoughts. If you happen to still be interested in Retroid's products, I've left the link in the description, and thank you so much for watching. And I'm sorry Retroid, I know you're a small store and all that. I still really like your work. It makes a really nice display item, but that's what it is for me right now. Stay cool, enjoy rhythm games.